Be prepared. This message didn't show up by accident. It only reaches the ones who are ready to receive it. And now, the universe is about to reward you for everything you survived in silence. You're not here by chance. This message didn't just appear in your feed, it pulled you in. Because somewhere in you, something already knew what I'm about to say. July 17th was never part of the original rhythm, and you're standing right at the edge of it. This isn't a day for the crowd. It's for the chosen, the ones who have been feeling distant from the world. If you ever felt like the universe forgot you, you need to hear this. The signal is already here. If you resonate with this, feel free to leave your thoughts below. You could even leave 1717 along with it. Let's see how many of you are waking up today. And if you feel like you're too late for this shift, keep watching, because there's one specific reason why you're not. And I'll break that down soon. But first, there's something you have to understand, something no one told you about why you've always felt like you don't belong. And it's not what you think. Your isolation was never a punishment. It was a filter. Let's say this out loud. Not everyone is meant to wake up right now. And deep down, you've always known you weren't built like the rest. The sleepless nights, the heavy silence, the way you walk into a room and feel everything that's not being said. That's not dysfunction, that's signal sensitivity. Your path hasn't been easy because your role hasn't been small. You weren't molded for comfort, you were carved for clarity. July 17th opens a doorway, not for those who are waiting to be saved, but for those who were built to see. And what's coming through that door doesn't want followers. It's seeking those who already carry the mark of endurance. Those who've walked through fire and somehow still listen. But the reason this exact moment matters, why this day will hit differently than the rest. Because something that's been interfering for years is suddenly gone. And you need to know what that means. Clarity doesn't arrive when the noise stops. It arrives when the source gets quiet enough to be heard. So, why July 17th? Why is it so special? Well, the answer isn't in fireworks, eclipses, or planetary chaos. July 17th is one of those rare days when the spiritual static clears. No dramatic astrological chokehold, no violent energetic flare-ups, no sharp karmic reversals. The sky breathes out, the system settles, and what's left is space, real space. On most days, your intuition is like a radio signal trying to break through static. Loud world, loud thoughts, loud astrology, everything layers over your deeper knowing. But tomorrow, that interference is at a historic low. For a brief moment, that quiet you've been begging for, it's here. Not to give you peace, but to give you access. This is the kind of day that doesn't announce itself. You don't get signs in the sky. You just feel sharper. Or maybe like something's finally trying to come through that's been blocked for years. That pull you've been sensing lately, that odd alertness without a reason, it's because your internal receivers are already tuning in. And when interference drops like this, people who are spiritually attuned receive things they weren't meant to before. It's a day for listening, but not passively. Those who are ready will be handed things, ideas, symbols, nudges, memories, and if you ignore them, they won't return. That's what makes July 17th so powerful. There's no second signal, just one window. And no, not everyone will notice it, because this kind of clarity is only loud to those who've spent years learning how to hear silence. Sometimes, the most important messages are whispered when the world finally shuts up. But before you dismiss this all as just another open energy portal, remember this. This level of quiet means something is moving closer. The timing of your awakening was never late. It was protected. Let's get something straight. If you're still here, it's because you were meant to be. And no, you didn't miss it. You didn't fall behind. You didn't take too long to heal, change, or wake up. There's this lie floating around that if you haven't figured out your purpose by now, you've lost your window. That's nonsense. The universe doesn't discard late bloomers. It reserves the rarest things for those who can hold them without cracking. You weren't delayed, you were fortified. Maybe you've noticed that life hasn't been gentle with you. That's because what you carry inside isn't ordinary, and ordinary conditions would have never pulled it out. The age you are now, the experience you've survived, that isn't baggage, that's proof. It's spiritual infrastructure. A lot of people got early starts. They burned bright and fast. But some of us were built to arrive exactly at the moment when the real shift begins. And we're not here to blend in. We're here to anchor things that can't be trusted to just anyone. And here's something you need to hear, and maybe no one's ever told you this. The universe isn't late, neither are you. It's been protecting the timing, not punishing your pace. So if you've been carrying shame for not being there yet, let it go. You are the timing. July 17th isn't a finish line. It's an ignition point, one that waits for no one, but opens to those still standing. And if you are still standing, there's something specific approaching. Not a lesson, not a test, something real, something direct. And when it shows up, it's going to make you question whether your thoughts are really your own. Your destiny isn't something you chase. It's something that circles you, waiting for you to stop running. Here's what almost nobody tells you. While you've been exhausted, overthinking, questioning your place, trying to find your purpose, something else has been watching you. Not just watching, tracking you. Your highest dream, the one you barely allow yourself to imagine anymore because life beat the magic out of you. The one that felt too big, too strange, too impossible. That dream has been orbiting you quietly, waiting, hovering, looking for an entry point. It doesn't knock. It doesn't beg for attention. It simply aligns when your energy finally stops leaking in all the wrong directions. That alignment window, that vibrational doorway, it starts opening tomorrow. Not because the stars are perfect, not because the calendar says so, but because interference is low, signals are strong, and you, for maybe the first time in years, are clear enough to be seen by what's been looking for you. That dream, that path, that version of you thought you lost. It hasn't gone anywhere. It's just been waiting for your frequency to stabilize enough for it to land without burning up. And if lately you've been having these strange flashes, like déjà vu that makes no sense, or a sudden sense that something is about to happen, but you can't name it, that's not your imagination. That's your future circling closer. You're not chasing it, it's closing in. But here's the catch. It won't force its way in. It won't scream. You have to be quiet enough to notice when the atmosphere around you shifts, and brave enough to say, "This is it. I'm not turning away this time." Some dreams don't arrive loud. They arrive ready. And July 17th isn't about the dream landing in your lap. It's about you finally seeing the outline of it, right there, just past the veil of your usual doubt. Don't look for a sign in the sky. Look for the moment tomorrow when something brushes close, and you won't be able to explain how, but you'll feel it in your bones. It's here. It's been circling me this whole time. And once you feel it, get ready, because that dream will ask if you're finally ready to become the version of yourself who can hold it. Most people meet only 1% of themselves. The rest waits, watching. until something stirs it awake. There's a version of you that you haven't met yet, not because it's far away or because you're not ready, but because it's been sleeping, dormant, tucked beneath the parts of you trained to survive, perform, please, and obey. We all carry this, the sleeper self. It doesn't speak in words. It doesn't play by logic. It's ancient. It's primal. It knows exactly why you came here, even when the rest of you has forgotten. And for most people, it never wakes up. The distractions are too loud, the programming too deep, the fear too strong. So it stays buried, quiet, waiting. But sometimes, not often, the veil between the conscious self and the sleeper self thins. And when it does, you start to feel different, like there's something inside you shifting, stretching, stirring, and you can't explain why. If you felt that lately, like something is moving inside you, but you don't have language for it, it's because tomorrow is almost here. The sleeper self doesn't rise randomly. It responds to something in the air. And July 17th has that something. The silence we talked about, the drop in interference, that's not just clarity. That's invitation. Your sleeper self has been waiting for a clear signal, a moment where it's safe enough to surface. And that moment is approaching. You might feel it as restlessness. Are you ready to remember? Because that's the truth. This isn't about learning something new. It's about remembering what's already in you, buried beneath years of survival, lying in wait beneath your programmed identity. Your sleeper self remembers the contracts you made before this life. You're not broken, you're just not fully online yet. Tomorrow may not change everything, but it might trigger the beginning of that reactivation. When your old self begins to die, your mind calls it confusion, but your soul calls it evolution. Lately, things have felt off. Not in the obvious way, not chaos, not fear. You look in the mirror and you recognize yourself, but you don't feel like yourself. It's like you're floating a few inches outside your name, your habits, your rhythm. You're not broken, you're not lost. You're outgrowing an identity that can't hold what you're becoming. This disorientation, this strange in-between space where nothing quite fits, it's not a crisis. It's a crossfade. The old self is fading out. The true self is coming online. And the overlap in between, it's disorienting on purpose. You're shedding the skin of who you thought you had to be, the version of you built from fear, compliance, survival, and stories you never wrote. But here's what no one tells you. Spiritual upgrades don't feel glamorous. They feel like forgetting. Maybe you've been feeling socially distant, not because you hate people, but because the roles you used to play don't fit anymore. Maybe your passions have gone quiet, not because you failed, but because the fuel you used to run on isn't aligned with who you're becoming. Maybe your emotions have been swinging, intense, unpredictable, like your inner world's been rewiring itself at warp speed. It has, because your internal compass is recalibrating. The map you used to follow no longer leads anywhere real, and something inside you knows it. That's why you felt hollow in rooms that used to light you up. That's why you've been craving solitude, silence, realness. Becoming who you truly are feels like forgetting who you never were. And the closer we get to energetic alignments like July 17th, days with low interference and high receptivity, the louder this identity unraveling becomes. You might feel like a stranger to yourself right now. That's okay. It means something ancient is stepping forward and your ego is learning how to step aside. Don't force it to make sense. Let the static clear. Because the you that's emerging, it's the one that remembers why you're really here. And tomorrow, that remembering begins to take form. Awakening is when you realize you're more than a body. Activation is when you become more than a body. There's a huge difference between people who awaken and those who activate. And this is where most people stop short, because awakening feels like enough. You wake up. You realize the world is deeper than you thought. You see through illusions, patterns, the scripts you've been fed. You stop running from yourself. You see the strings. It's exhilarating. It's terrifying. It's real. But that's not the finish line. That's the invitation. Because awakening is awareness. Activation is embodiment. And that's what tomorrow, July 17th, is really about. It's not a pretty vision board day. It's not for the ones who want to manifest things they haven't earned vibrationally. This isn't spiritual tourism. This is spiritual return. Activation is messy. It's not about becoming light and love. It's about becoming truth. It's not about floating. It's about rooting in your mission, even when it scares the hell out of you. People who activate don't just know who they are. They start living like it. They drop the masks, even when it costs them comfort. They take the call, even when it means walking alone. They move when they're told to move, even if they don't fully understand why yet. Because something deeper is in charge now. Awakening shows you the door. Activation burns the bridge behind you. If you're still here, still watching, still resonating, you're not just awakening. You're being summoned into responsibility. You didn't come to Earth to play it safe. You didn't survive all of that pain just to stay numb and stagnant. You came to move frequencies. You came to rattle dimensions. You came to wake others just by being fully alive in your own skin. July 17th doesn't mark a shift for everyone, but for the ones who felt the pulse beneath the silence, the ones who've been sensing something pressing against their ribs, trying to get out, tomorrow isn't a moment. It's a gate. And once you walk through it, the work begins. The real you begins. The earth remembers. And nothing stays the same. Some leaps aren't about courage. They're about finally listening to the voice that's been calling you for years. There's a very specific kind of risk that doesn't feel like fear. It feels like fate. It hums in your bones. It stalks your thoughts. It keeps returning, even after you try to bury it under logic, timing, responsibility. And for some reason, it feels louder right now. That's because tomorrow, July 17th, carries an energetic current that doesn't just support change, it amplifies it. This is one of those rare days where bravery doesn't feel like a fight, it feels like alignment. You might notice it as a quiet knowing, a sense that the thing you've been dancing around, the conversation you've avoided, the dream you've kept in the attic, the decision you've labeled maybe someday, suddenly feels less like a threat and more like a calling. You don't feel ready, but something in you feels done with waiting. This isn't about reckless action, it's about recognizing the doorway that's been in front of you all along and finally deciding to walk through it. You've had moments like this before. Think back. Remember the time you took a leap on what felt like a hunch, and it ended up changing everything? There are invisible coordinates, days when the fabric of possibility thins just enough to let something extraordinary through. Tomorrow is one of them. Don't be surprised if you find yourself circling back to old ideas that never left your heart. Don't be surprised if someone reaches out who reminds you of what you were meant to become. Don't be surprised if a decision that used to terrify you now feels like a strange kind of relief. The path isn't always clear, But there are moments when the fear of staying stuck finally outweighs the fear of moving forward. July 17th holds the potential to become one of those moments. Excuses are clever lies we tell ourselves in voices that sound like protection, but are really fear in disguise. Every time you've said, "I'm not ready," some part of you believed it. Every time you've told yourself, "It's not the right time," maybe it wasn't. Or maybe you were waiting for something to force your hand, a crack in the rhythm, a break in the cycle, a day where the illusion of waiting finally shatters. That day is tomorrow. This is where the comfort zone stops feeling like comfort and starts feeling like a trap. The delays, the distractions, the stories you've rehearsed about why you can't yet, they're coming undone, whether you're ready or not. And not because you're being punished, because the version of you who needed those excuses doesn't exist anymore. There's a fire under this energy. And it's not gentle. It doesn't care if you've perfectly prepared. It doesn't care if you have a flawless plan. It only wants one thing: truth, real movement, honest action. You don't need more time. You need fewer lies about why you aren't already worthy of beginning. What's wild about days like this is how fast things can shift, not because reality changes instantly, but because you stop resisting the part of yourself that's already ready. You stop protecting the identity that's outlived its purpose. So don't be surprised if tomorrow brings confrontation. Not with others, with yourself. A quiet but sharp awareness that you can't keep playing the old role, not even for one more week, not even for one more hour. If something inside you starts to crack, let it. That's the signal. That's the burn. That's the ignition. You don't need to burn it all down, but you do need to stop pretending that the cage was ever locked. Because once you see that it never was, the fire won't scare you anymore. It will free you. There's a quiet shift coming, and if you're even slightly attuned, you'll feel it in your chest before it reaches your mind. A strange stillness, like something's missing. But instead of panic, you'll feel relief. Not the kind of relief that comes from answers, but the kind that rises when questions stop echoing. For years, maybe decades, your mind has been looping through the same hesitation reel. What if I mess up? What if I'm wrong? What if I'm not ready? It's been automatic, like background noise you stopped noticing. But tomorrow, something different happens. The voice that always stopped you, the one that second-guessed every impulse, downplayed every vision, diluted every instinct, suddenly isn't there anymore. Not fully, not the way it used to be. And it'll feel strange at first. You'll go to doubt yourself like you usually do, and there'll be no response. No familiar resistance, just silence. Because the interference has finally gone offline. It's not that your mind is empty. It's that the wrong voices have been evicted. And what remains isn't a hollowed-out version of you. It's the pure, undistorted signal of your own knowing, your own rhythm, your own authority. You'll almost miss it, because it's not a roar. It's a flick, a shift. The exact moment you realize you're not unsure anymore. You're not confused anymore, you're just free. Self-doubt was never yours. It was inherited, absorbed, taught, repeated, but never chosen. And what's not chosen can be released. And so, July 17th isn't the day you become someone new. It's the day you return to who you were before the world told you to question it. It's the day the real you stops whispering and starts leading. From here on out, trust won't be a concept. It'll be your compass. If you're still watching, I'd like to thank you for your attention. If you enjoyed the content and want to see more, please consider clicking the subscribe button. Your support is very appreciated. Feel free to share your experiences or thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, take care and subscribe for more insightful content.